believe that this is a journey. But many of us are living as if it's nothing. Many of us are just living. And Paul said, if our hope ends in this world, we are of all people the most miserable. How many of us are miserable this morning? I'm not miserable. I'm not. Because I have hope. So, he said, dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul. We'll talk about that some other time. But let me dwell on the issue of pilgrim and strangers. So, who then is a pilgrim? Where is the destination? Is the destination sure? Is it existing? Or is all a ruse? Now, I checked through the meanings. It says a pilgrim is a person who journeys to a sacred place for religious reasons. So, we can bring it down. Maybe some of you have JP. Pastor Isaac, you should have JP in front of your name. You know you are in Israel. Jerusalem pilgrimage. So, what would they put in front of my own name? You know, I went to Egypt. He went to Israel, I went to Egypt. So, how should I be addressed? Please help me. His own is clear. Pastor Isaac Idowu, JP. So, JV. What is the meaning of JV? Joint venture. So, let's bring it home. To the people who travel on pilgrimage. So we said somebody who travels. We have people traveling to the other side. We have people going to Jerusalem to go and see sights. It's a good thing to see. But if you are not born again, that's no meaning. I was at which FRCN, Ikoyi Cemetery, some times ago for a funeral. And usually when I get there, I walk around. I start reading all the plagues, reading them. I see 14, I see 10, 90, I see 70, I see midway, 52, I see 55. I see all those things there. So one day I saw one who passed away in a ghastly motor accident between Sinai and so place during a pilgrimage. So, if you die in Jerusalem, it doesn't confer even on anybody. Profola's mom, not for Lord for is well. The mom preaches every morning through a megaphone in the house. There's one of these songs that she used to sing. Àyàfi gbàgbọ́ nínú Jésù Olúwa. Ọ̀rẹ́ ọkọ̀ lọ Mẹ́kà tàbí Mẹ́dínà lọ rè kú sí. Àyàfi gbàgbọ́. So she will sing that one, then she will come, ọ̀rẹ́ ọkọ̀ lọ Jerusalem. So we have people scrambling every year to go on pilgrimage. And one of the things you have to realize, number one, you have to get what you call your passport. You have to get a visa, a tourist visa. Then you'll be vaccinated against yellow fever. There is always a preparation. And you prepare your luggage, your bag, to go there. Now, do you go with 9/11, with your freezer, with your fridge, with your TV, with your bed? No. Because you know you are going to spend but a little time in that place. So when you see pilgrims, so another definition, it says a person that is regarded as journeying through life. What we are doing in essence is that we are on a pilgrimage, we are going somewhere. Then let me talk about a stranger. It says a person whom one does not know. So when the Bible said, as strangers and pilgrims. What the Bible is saying in essence is that you are not even known here as popular as you think you are. You are not known. It's that they know me everywhere. You are not known. You are not known. In fact, you think they know you, but they don't know you. Part of them. Because the day trouble starts, you are going to be the first person they will fall on. You are not part of them. You are not known. Somebody is not known. Peter said, you should see yourself as somebody that is not known. So when you begin to do that trace, when you begin to fight for everything, when you begin to show yourself, said, I'm living in this street, nobody has even attempted to to call me and said, bro, I've been seeing you. He said, you have to be visible. All these worldly approaches. They say you have to be visible. So when you get to a place and it seems people are not noticing you, you have to show yourself. That's the way you carry yourself. You carry yourself. This thing says you are somebody that is not known. You are not known. So all the shoulder high that I'm the most popular, when they do, you are just deceiving yourself. The Bible said, as a pilgrim, you are a stranger, you are not known. A person whom one does not know. Or with whom one is not familiar. Let me tell you something. As good as you are in the system of the world system is not familiar with you. It will chop you up. A person who does not know or is not known in a particular place or community is a stranger. Because you are not part of the system. So as you are living your life as a believer, you are living to please the country you are going back to. Not that place. When you join them in that place, they will know you. The Bible said that which is highly esteemed among men is actually an abomination to God. It says, whoever loves the world. So when you love the system and the system knows you, because you can live a triple life. A triple life. When it comes, like Pastor Z was saying last Sunday, said, don't let us bring Christianity. In business, you are like this. At home, you are like this. In the market, you are like this. Then you are known because you have joined the system of the world. He said, whoever loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. So he said, it's just like someone that is not known in a particular place or community. Why should they know you anytime they are fighting in your environment? Why should they know you? When there is a commotion in your community, somebody from the window can even suspect. That's Sister Bimbo. She has started again. I know it must be Bra John. Yeah, it must be Bra John. They have started their wala again. It says, a person who does not know or is not known in a particular place or community. Someone you don't know or who don't belong to a specific place. It's a stranger. It's a stranger. You can imagine somebody coming into this place now. Once, because the church accepts, we are even praying that new faces should come, isn't it? But even upon that, we know ourselves. We still look and say, this person must be coming for the first time. This person must be coming for the first time. So, Peter said, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lust, which war against the soul. Now, let's see the book of Hebrews. Let's see the Hall of Fame of faith in Hebrews. You want to be everything. You are just a stranger here. And the earlier you allow that to sink, the better. I imagine then, sir, when you read church history about the fathers of faith that transited, you discover that they were not scared of death. They were not. So why is it that we're always afraid of death? So we are here. We don't have anything up there. Because we are no longer strangers and we are no longer pilgrims. So Hebrews 11 from verse 13. Speaking about the great people he had mentioned, he talked about Noah, he talked about Abel, he talked about who again? Enoch. He talked about Abraham. 9, it says, by faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which had foundations, whose builder and maker is God. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky, a multitude, and as the sun which is by the seashore, innumerable. So when the Bible was trying to summarize all these people, in verse 13, it says, these all died. Where? In faith, not having received the promises. Christianity is more than faithing and getting it. These all died. Now, let me ask us a sincere question. Let's be sincere. I will mention names. You must be sincere. Now, all these people who died without actually obtaining the promise, in our generation, how would we have classified them? A failure. A failure. One, they don't have faith. Okay. Thank you, Pastor Cheyi. They don't. You see, because, there are ways we judge things. We judge both from the spiritual angle, the physical angle, and the satanic angle. So we said number one is per life standard is a what? A failure. Number two, he lacks faith. You see, you know how brethren can encourage brethren. Say, bro, you have to add something to your faith. The Bible didn't say we should add something. It said, and to what? Add virtue. To virtue. You have to add something to this your faith. Their saliva is drying up. Just because you prayed, he gave you once. He gave you. So everybody that is not receiving, they don't have faith. Or maybe you need to do more of confession. Do more of confession. And the person is looking at your head like coconut head. And he say, if you know how many confessions I do. Incidentally, the mountains the guy has climbed, you have never climbed. So he'll be looking at you. As he's looking at you, he himself is even getting more confused. Do I really know what I'm doing? So he said, I just believed God. I just believed God. My brother, it was only your turn. Because God turned to you. It doesn't mean that another person's turn will not come tomorrow. Well, we usually discuss among ourselves. You see, there's something that is called spiritual sensitivity, even in sharing testimonies. I shared, when we were discussing sometimes ago, I said, of a particular pastor that gave birth. He was just transferred to that church. And he gave birth. And that was their third child. And there were two women, families in that church who had never given birth. They have been married for over 12 years. So, pastor gave birth. And coming to the church, being in that church for the first time, everybody felt they should celebrate. And pastor said, no. They would do a sitting room naming. And that would be all. No announcement. And we asked, sir, this thing, this is our own time. Let's do this thing. He said, no. That is being insensitive. So the Bible said, these men all died. So we have mentioned two things. What other thing? Ogun. Oh, feel that. It must be a family course. It must be a family course. Now, let me tell you something. Where we hear is that we cannot discern. You see, this law of generalizing everything under one category, if anything happens, it must be an ogun. If anything happens, it must be an ogun. Even sometimes when I've not learned how to do what I'm doing very well, it will become battle. You went to buy a generator that has been used by Mr. Jack in 1914. Mr. Jack sold it to Mr. Andrew in 1945. Mr. Andrew sold it to Mr. Phillips in 1972. Mr. Phillips sold it as a scrap. They now shipped it from UK to Nigeria. And that was the generator you bought. So when it came to Nigeria, it didn't come to you. It came to Mr. Lamidi. Mr. Lamidi is a wood saw. I mean, these people, so he's using it to cut wood in his sawmill, and they have used it. You know how we use things in Nigeria? You know, there will be no tank. You use a keg. There will be no water tank. You will put a keg. There will be no battery head, no plug. You will use wire to spark. So after Mr. Lamidi has used it, you know, bought it. Each time you put on the generator, the thing will we have been to see you. If you followed us to some village outreaches in the wee days, you will see how brethren will be joining hands together to pray for a generator. Because the devil has attacked, you know, as you are ministering, the generator will just go, and you know, you see our brethren, they will run there again. Bah! They say, we'll not start. Bah! Then they will get patrol, pour it on somewhere. Bah! Then after a while, the sisters who are spiritual and the brethren they will join their hands together and begin to bind. Sir, when were we delivered from that demonic attack? When we bought a new generator. So you can see the journey of the generator, where the generator has been coming from. So you will say clearly, all this died. It's because we are not spiritual enough. You see, even God said to them to die by sword, by the sword. To them by famine, will die by famine. To them by pestilence. Their ways, their things, their dimensions. So when you're not spiritual enough, you categorize everything under, and you will keep fighting. And God will just be looking at you and say, shine your eye, look at this side. You are not doing this thing well. You know, this equipment, this generator has been used by 5 generations of people. Mr. Lamidi used it badly. You're just wasting your time. And here you are binding, you are losing. So the Bible said, all these men, they died. Probably, if they didn't have it in mind, their status, and that's what I'm pointing out to us this morning, if they didn't agree that they are not of this world, they will have gone extra mile to achieve what they wanted to achieve, and we will have praised them. They will have entered into our hall of fame and said, people who fought and won. So we should be examples of those people. And so when they are also teaching us, when they are teaching us in the world, they will tell you that you will be a friend of a man who is successful anyhow. So when you are looking at it and said, I must just do anything and everything to be successful. You say, people must. You are not a celebrity, you are a stranger. One of our friends said, God, you will make us a celebrity. I said, no. I don't want to be a celebrity. It's like you competing with them in the world. He says you are a stranger. He says you are not known. You are not part of them. So in competing with them, it's like you leaving your own lane to go and be competing in another person's lane. When you run to the finish line, they will disqualify you. Because you can't meet up. You can't meet up. Because you want to feel among. He said they're always talking about this. It's not good to be abusive on the altar. Yeah, boy like this that used to. They said he put things in his head, singing all manner of things at work, and those guys were singing. I now asked them, I said, "Is this somebody that is singing this thing?" They said yes, and they were even fighting. One was the one that was singing was saying he will win Grammy. The other one was a which Grammy. You are not a celebrity. Forget about it. You are a stranger. And there is a way strangers carry themselves. We'll get to that at some other time. A stranger I told somebody, I said, the reason for Pastor Isaac and Pastor Sheyi, they grew up in Lagos. I came to join Pastor Isaac in Lagos. The first time I went to Pastor Isaac's house in Shomolu, it wasn't the days of GSM. He just said, when you get to Morocco, get to this. And quite genius in those days, without phone. And I've never been to that place. The farthest place I got in Lagos was Ojodu Bega. Coming from Ekiti, drop at Bega, you will descend like this. There was no bus stop. So when I wanted to go and check him during one of our holidays, I just went, took a bus, and I got there. I told somebody, I said, because I'm not a Lagosian, I'm just living here. By the grace of God, by the mercy of God, I'm not boasting. I don't usually fall into the hands of last man. I don't carry people. When I want to carry you, I'll tell you I can't drop you here. That's what the Yoruba people have a proverb. Only awolumate. If you enter into a place you don't want to be disgraced, you have to know your boundaries. So when we are going, they say, there is a way. Especially that Ikorodu Road, your Ikorodu Road. There's a way. BLT lane. This, I will go and stay on the service lane. You're a stranger. Says, these people. Now, if you want to categorize them again, what other name would you? How will you describe them? These people. They lack what, Statula? They lack. There was a time that purpose was a raving thing. Purpose. You don't know your purpose. I don't know your point. Your purpose is your purpose. Your purpose will determine your purposefulness. So, where are they today? The question I ask myself, when those things begin to carry them like a wind, I would just say give them 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Where are they today? Even them. They don't know anything of purpose again. Everything has scattered. So they don't understand purpose. They don't understand purpose. When you want to start a journey in life, you first have to determine your purpose and define your purpose and travel with your purpose and fly with your purpose and eat. You have to sleep in your purpose. Okay. So, they don't know purpose. What other description would we have given them? They don't know how to pray. Said, let me tell you something. Kingdom come by power, sir. Yeah, it come by power. Then you begin to. Pastor Isaac, you remember the story of one of my mechanics? Yeah, I want to repair my car. So he was a Muslim, but he's now a Christian. And we were talking, he was so excited seeing me after so many years. I said, Baba Sugura. I said, they don't call him that again. I said, that is good. So, as we were talking, he was trying to bring me up to speed, how far he has gone in faith. So he would just be shaking legs like this. I remember when we were in okay anymore. I said, okay. And he was, and throughout that time, even when we were not talking, he would just be doing his head like this. He's a mechanical. He would just be doing his head like this. So, one of my friends that was there, he just said, Pastor, I said, I said, why? He said, I'm not, sir, when you want to throw something forward, you have to take a step forward. Sir, you have to climb. a pastor friend, when we were, he still mentioned that thing today. There was a time when we go to pray, it was fun for us. He just said, let's go and pray. So one day, the pastor, he said, let's go to Erima. He said, that one that has number. So he said, you need to go, you need to step out and go and pray. He said, you are not praying enough. He said, these people, all these people. That's Hebrews. It says, but these all died. But they didn't die in unbelief. When you are saying they didn't have faith, they actually died. If you are going to use our own Nigerian language, where did they die? Inside faith. They died in faith. I'm sure somebody will say they don't have a staying power. They were not determined enough. They didn't lock them. When we brother, we are wicked. You lock yourself into it. You key. You see, you don't allow anything to sway you. Once you have plugged yourself, you do what? You stay there. The Bible said, all this, they died in faith, without receiving the promises, but having seen them afar off. What is that telling us? The promise, the ultimate promise they were actually looking at was not the one we are all seeing here. They were looking at that eternal rest. They were looking at that home whose architect and builder is God. He says, but having seen them afar off and were persuaded of them. How many of us are persuaded that there is heaven? Because the way we are going, we seem to be forgetting every day. Let me tell you something. You won't understand what I'm talking about if you don't join in with the message of last Sunday. The way most of us behave, all this, you fight, you bicker, you do everything. They are persuaded of them. They know that it takes a man to be in Christ to see God. They are persuaded that it takes a man to be saved to make heaven. He says, and embrace them. They didn't only embrace them. It's like embracing what we call destiny. I know that heaven is my home. Here I'm a stranger. So I believe it. I've come to accept. Like many of us, you have not come to accept that you will die one day if Jesus has not come. But I know there's an age you will get to, you will believe. In fact, by that time, it's you that will be talking about it. My father, I'm older than him. At that age, he was like a young man like me who hates talking about death. But by the time he crossed 70, it becomes a daily food. He says, so in case I go, my mother will say, go where? Where are you going? Where are you going to? But by that time, you will talk about it. In fact, they will say, Daddy, don't talk about it. They say, no, let me talk about it. Because by God's design, we'll get there. It says, and embraced them and confessed that they were what? And what? Strangers and what? They confess it. So how many times have you confessed with all those arrays of our confessions? I'm the head and not the tail. I make it. I do not dash it. I dash. I do not raise. Okay. How many times have you confessed that I'm a stranger? Yes, Lord, I'm a stranger. I'm looking forward to my home. I'm a pilgrim here. I'm your ambassador. I will do your work here. And that one is different. So that when I see you face to face, it's even your wife that will knock your door and say, Daddy, who are you seeing face to face? It's not time yet. It says, they confessed it that they were strangers and pilgrims on earth. So let that one sink into us very well. Whatever we have, we're just strangers. And incidentally, you will agree with me that there is nothing we even acquire here on earth that will go with us. Somebody was telling me of a man that was buried in his limousine. I said, it's just a matter of a day. I didn't even say 2 days. a day. That's why Jesus said, he said, do not lay up treasures for yourself, where moth and thief will come and corrupt. Say, rather lay up treasure for yourself. Let me tell you something. If the car is not decaying, in the next 24 hours, thieves will find their way into that place. Don't carry the whole of the car. They will remove the brain box, remove the engine, remove the diesel. So, if that is what the man will write to heaven, he has been grounded between heaven and earth. He's lost. So, all these things. So let me quickly remind us of some things in case we want to forget. We are not expecting death. We have life. These men lived like strangers and pilgrims on earth, and they lived as such. They weren't hiding at all. This is who they were. And that was the way they were living. They didn't amass too many things. The majority of their wealth was sent down to the country of their home country. Their home country. I tell people who travel to US, UK, I tell you, there is an age that the system will vomit you. I have a friend that he and his son, they are competing for work now. So he said when they get there, automatically they will pick the younger one. They go and line up looking for a job. This system will vomit you. But when you don't make provision for yourself in your native country, by the time you come back, I don't want to go to story. There was this man in my village who traveled to Lagos. He had been in Lagos for long. So when he was about 89, he decided to come back home. When he got home, the younger brother is my mom's dad. That one had retired from the military early enough. So he had taken over all the parents' properties, the farms, the cash crops. But Daddy Eko was in Lagos. So when things turned somehow, Daddy Eko decided to relocate back home. So Daddy Eko didn't last for 3 months before he died. Because the brother had already taken over everything. So the only thing, Daddy Eko would just sit down in the veranda. The only thing he keeps saying is, Mama Akpelo Deo. I have stayed too long outside. It's not only because of the properties. Most of his friends cannot relate with him again. Then they just say, Josiah. So he will sit down alone. He's speaking Lagos. When we are talking on my own side, we talk about Ado, you talk about Ifaki, you talk about, those streets. Okay, I'll use Abeokuta as an example because Abeokuta is very, very good and local. Adigbe, Yanamoshwari, Shakpade, Ashero, all those things. But this one will be talking about Isholo, Oshedi. So those people just that was how, because he didn't make provision for his home. So by the time he came back, he couldn't just fit in to the system. So I want to remind us of some things quickly that we need to put on our left hand. If you are a lefty, that means you are using. If you are a lefty, which hand are you using to eat? So that means what I want to tell you now, you have to put it on your right. So if you are a righty, put it on your left. So, it says they knew what many people don't know today. So they lived the way they lived. Many of us, we don't know that life is transient. Many of us, we don't know that the appointed time is only within God's hand. Many of us, we don't know that our being alive or death does not increase nor reduce God. As a matter of fact, when we lose loved ones at times, who are believers, heaven is gaining. The heart has lost. And that's why when the fear of death engulfed Paul, Paul began to tell them, he says, for me to even live is Christ. He said to die is gain. He said, I would rather be with the Lord, but because of you, maybe some time more here on earth. He says, they knew things that many people don't know. And what majority of people knows, but they pretend not to know. At times, when you are sick, and it seems the medications are failing, it seems you are seeing the door of heaven. Something should tell you that there is life after here, even if you have never been there before. Many of us are living like permanent residents on earth. Unfortunately, we're all temporary sojourners. You have to remember that all flesh is as grass. James chapter 4, so we run here. James 4, 13 to 14. James 4, 13 to 14, New Living. New Living. Says, look here, you who say, today or tomorrow we are going to a certain town, and we'll stay there a year. We will do business there and make profit. How many of us have done businesses and have made losses before? I have. So how can a man be so arrogant? Like one of our friends in business. You say, I've thrown it into the Excel. It can carry it. But when he did the business, the Excel, some of us have learned that even when they put food on your table like this, it still takes the mercy of God for you to eat that food. Yes. We will do business there and make profit. How do you know what your life will be like tomorrow? Your life is like the money fog. It is here a little while, then it is what? It's gone. That is the life we all carry. That's the life we all carry. 1 Peter 1:24. 1 Peter 1:24. KJV. 1 Peter 1:24. Says, as the scripture says, people are like what? Are like what? It says their beauty is like a flower in the field. The grass withers and the flower fades. Let me tell you, and let me remind you, except for our children that are just growing up, but for us, all of you that are above 30, is this how you are fine before? You cannot get finer. You will be diminishing. I'm telling you. The thing will be falling. No matter the Mary K, Apostle K, it will. You see, this is natural. In my life, I've lost about 10 tooth. 10 of my teeth are gone. I've been using a pair of glasses since God knows how long. I stopped it by faith sometimes. But I picked it up again. Because this man all died. This man, okay. So, whether we like it or not, eyes are not functioning well again. Some of us now, we have started complaining about back, about leg. Says, as the scripture says, people are like grass. Their beauty is like a flower in the field. The grass withers and the flower fades away. Let me tell you something. No matter how long we pretend, life here has an end. I wasn't afraid of death until when I got married and I started having children. Why? You don't want to leave them. You don't want them to suffer. You don't forget about it. You better you are a stranger. You are a pilgrim. Okay, Isaiah chapter 40 from verse 6. Isaiah 46. Isaiah 40. Okay? It says, our days on earth are like grass. Wild flowers, we bloom. You know, we always want to hear that positive side. And Pastor Chayi, in what they taught us, is that in basic principles of accounting, for every debit entry, there must be a corresponding credit entry. One leg must be here, other leg must be, otherwise there is a fraud. He says, the wind blows. I mean, we bloom. How many of us want to bloom? We will bloom in Jesus' name. Then we die. Keep your prayer, sir. Keep your prayer. The wind blows and we are gone. As though we have never been here. Let me ask us a question. Where are the Abiolas of yesterday? Where are the Henry Fajamirokons? Where are the Fernandez? Where are the Harry Akandes? Where are the Yaraduas of this world? Where are the Daroshas of this world? Where are the Ayobabalolas of this world? Where is Charles Giffinin? Where is Kenneth Hagin? Where is A.A. Allen? Where is John Wesley? Where is Charles Wesley? Where are the Bavarian church who prayed for 100 years in prayer chain? Where are they today? It's as though we have never been here. Do you know my children, they don't know MK Abiola? Talk less of knowing Sonny Abacha. You know. Do you know that my children, they don't know Ronaldo? They only hear about him. Because when they see him now, they can't even recognize him. Ronaldo de Lima. How many of them know Amokachi? They only know him because he's sitting as a pundit. He says, as though we had never been here. Pastor, where is Baba? As though we have never been here. Okay? Let's see. So no matter how beautiful, no matter the glory, no matter the splendor, even Solomon, his beauty, his glory, his splendor, Jesus said he was not even as beautiful as the lilies. Mole. Ole. Jackie fever yoko, malaria yoko. Let one malaria. You are not hard at all. You will shake. You will have tremor. How many of us have experienced tremor when you have fever? You'll be shaking like this. They will give you all manners of things. The food you love most, you won't be able to eat it. Your soul will abhor all manners of food. So the Bible said, even Solomon's glory was inferior to the flowers. Life is a breath. Job chapter 7 verse 7. Job 7:7. Life is a breath. He says, oh God, remember that my life is but a what? Is but a breath. Life is a breath. A breath, you just breathe it, it goes. You know, when God created man from the dust, the Bible says he breathed into the nostrils of man, and man became a living soul. Once that breath leaves you, the best of us is the way we are seated here. This is just the best of us. When life is in us, when the breath of God is in us, that's when you are able to carry. You are able to move. You are able to plan. But let me tell you something. Once that breath is gone, I've seen people in the mortuary before. I've been privileged to go and search for somebody in Lagos mainland, Lagos Island mortuary. And I know that this is just our best. When we have God, when we have life in us. So let's quickly run through Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Then we'll round up. Are we enjoying ourselves? So, you know, when people don't behave anyhow, they'll be wondering. They'll be wondering because they don't know what you know. They don't know that you are temporary here. You may be castigated. You may be seen as nothing here. Because some of us go, even by the time we are rich. Our rich is somebody's impressed. Because somebody's impressed. So whatever it is, proud in. So let's see Ecclesiastes chapter 12 from verse 1. Now, can we do New Living Translation? We are just going to be reading. No, Amplified. Amplified. Do we have Amplified? Do we have? Okay. Okay, so it says, remember also, earnestly, also your Creator, that you are not your own, but His property now. In the days of your youth, I saw some people, they are bent. But I told myself, these people were 12 years sometimes ago, and they were running all over the places. Before the evil days come, or the years draw near, where you will say of physical pleasures, I have no enjoyment in them. What interests you now? What is interesting you that is chasing you away from God? There are things that in years to come, you will see them, you will dislike them. Well, I want to build duplex. I like my duplex that when you enter like this, you go, then my room will now be at the top of the duplex. At the end of the day, you will spend the rest of your life at the basement. When they say, Daddy, I said, no. Let's go on quickly. Verse 2. It says, before the sun and the light and the moon and the stars are darkened. What is that referring to? Oju, your eyes. The eyes are getting impaired every day. Who can imagine that an handsome man like Bro Simeon will be putting on a pair of glasses? Bro Simeon, you are putting on a pair of glasses. It's not for fashion, no. Sister Shola, is it fashion? It's a sign to tell us that these things will not be forever. Even those of you that are doing our corners, I don't need anything. But no. By the grace of God, I use no glasses. They will be using style during morning devotion. He said today come and be calling the hymn. Why can't you sing it? If you can see very well. It says, before the sun and the moon and the stars are darkened, sight impaired, and the clouds of depression run after the rain of tears. When you get to a certain age, you will look back. You begin to see some things you could have done better. that you couldn't do better. And that's why you have to do everything to remember him, to live like a pilgrim and a stranger now, so that you don't have any regret. I've seen people at their deathbeds who will be crying. You think it's a joke? They have looked behind. They have looked ahead. They saw what is ahead of them. They saw many errors, many mistakes they made. And there was nothing they could do about it again. And so they cried. It says, okay, in the day when the keepers of the house, who are the keepers of the house? The hands and the what? And the arms. The hands and the arms. So you are doing like this. Okay? It says there's a time that the arms and the hands will tremble. They will say, you have Parkinson's disease. You don't have Parkinson's disease. It's age that is catching up with you. So when they say bring it, you will bring it. He said, Mommy, go and ask pig. Who told the mother pig? He said, Mommy, why is your mouth this big? He said, wait now. He said, you too. You will understand. He said, Mommy, when you think your hand is always shaking. You want to bring the phone. Bring the phone. Okay. And the strong men. What are the strong men? The feet and the what? And the knees. Some of us are not 40. We are not 50. Your feet and your knees are barely carrying you. Every little disturbance. I say, says, bow themselves, and the grinders. What are the grinders? The molar teeth. I said, what, Daddy, what kind of meat do you want? I said, I like ashamegu, the ones that contains bones. Bones. And you will sit down. A time will come that the grinders, the molar teeth, cease because they are few. Why are they few? They have been removed. They are removing. Whether by nature or by denture, they will pull it out for you. And those who look out of the windows, what are those who look out of the windows? Your eyes are darkened. Okay, let's go on quickly. It's when the doors, what are the doors? The lips. Have you seen the lips of very old people? They are shut in the streets, and the sound of the grinding. What is the grinder? What is the grinder? The teeth. Sir, I don't always like meat that is too soft. I want my meat chewable, very, very chewable. I like tearing. Okay. Says, when the teeth is low, and one rises up at the voice of bird and crowing of a cock. You know, many of us, even without getting to that age now, we are beginning to wake up every 3 a.m. No matter how tired you are, when you sleep by 12, once it's 3, you wake up. It's telling you that you are a pilgrim and a stranger, and you are journeying through. Your journey has been confirmed. Okay? Says, and all the daughters of music. What are the daughters of music? The voice and the ear are brought low. They don't hear well again. Now you, they hear everything. Like by just saying. At that time, even when they put a funnel into your ear, I said, it's a thief. You say, He's a priest? Okay, let's go, Daddy, Sister Tutu. Also, when the whole are afraid of danger, from that which is high and fierce of the way. I've mentioned that before. It gets to a stage that to even climb the staircase. I said, go and help us to remove our bed here. Down here. Put it down. Daddy, what happens to the say whatever you want to do? You can even help us cut it, seal it, you rent that one. The man who wanted to die because of duplex some years ago. And the almond tree. What is the almond tree? The white hair blossoms. Some years ago, we dye it. But it's as if this is our generation now, even before we reach 21. So when you put on your jeans, and you are doing like this, and you are walking, and you think, and they say, people will think I'm a young man. And daddy, they will call you daddy. Because it's either you have suffered desertification, or it has grown white. So if you have the mind of talking to a lady, I said, daddy, he says, and the grasshopper, a little thing is a burden, and desire and appetite fail. Some people, they have destroyed their life now because of women, because of men. By that time, even David, as great as he was, when he was about dying, and he was got it, they brought a damsel to him. But unfortunately, it was too late. He had no pleasure in it again. So that thing that is driving you crazy. Pastor, you even see some believers. They will be saying, she's prouding, she's getting proud. By the time I go to another woman, by the time you get to a certain age, even another woman, you won't be able to do anything, just be looking like a mumu. Yes, desire and appetite to fall. Man, where is man going today? Because man is going to his everlasting home. These are the symptoms we see in this journey, whether to heaven or to hell. This is an agreement and a contract that we have all signed. No wonder. It will be of interest to me to show you. Where is the Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 1 and 2. It's the word of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. What did he say? Verse 2. Vanity upon vanities. All is vanity. Vanity upon vanity. Verse 11. Chapter 2, verse 11. Chapter 2, 11. Ecclesiastes. Chapter 2, 11, verse 11. It says, then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and all the labor that I had labored to do. And behold, all was what? Vanity. And what? Vexation of spirit. And there was no profit under the sun. People of God, this morning, I just believe we can situate ourselves within this truth of the word of God. Peter said, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims. This truth will help us to live as strangers and as pilgrims. By the grace of God, when God permits, we'll go deeper. This is just the introduction to the message. We'll go deeper. But let me tell you something. If there was any time, you should be conscious and you should live like a stranger and a pilgrim. This is the time. When I was mourning Deborah yesterday, I just came to a conclusion. One way or the other. We'll get to our bus stop and we'll exit. Let's bow down our heads to pray. The keyboardist, can we just look at that song? DJ, can you just throw the song? Let's talk to God. Let's make that confession as we made of other things. I am a pilgrim, I'm a stranger here. Heaven is my home. Heaven is my home. That songwriter says, this world is not my home. Let's pray and talk to God. Let's declare it. He said they embraced it. Lord, I embrace it. Let's pray and talk to God. Let's pray and talk to God. He said they believed it, they embraced it, and they confessed it. Just pray for 30 seconds. Confess it. That is the state I want us to get to this morning. Just embrace it. Lord, I embrace. I'm a pilgrim. I'm a stranger here. I'm a wayfarer, a wayfaring stranger here. Heaven is my home. He said they embraced it and confessed. Lord, I embrace this truth. I'm just passing by. I'm just passing by. This is not my home. I am only here to carry out your duties, to carry out your instructions. But heaven is my home. And take this one stanza as we pray. One stanza. We'll sing the stanza in Yoruba, in English. We sing it in Yoruba. We are making that confession. They started from there, and so nothing could distract them. Let's go together. I'm but a stranger here. Heaven is my home.
I'm but a stranger here. Heaven is my home. And with the days of heaven is my home.
Sing it like you mean it. Dangers and sorrows stand. Danger and sorrows stand round me on every hand.
Heaven is my fatherland. Heaven is my
The Yoruba stanza, the first stanza of the Yoruba.
Ni mo jalejo ọ̀run nílé aginjù la